Hi, this is Jamey with Stonemeyer Games, and I am here today to talk about my favorite game mechanism in Captain Sonar, a team game that I played for the first time at Gen Con. I played 4 versus 4. I'm not sure if you can play with fewer players on that, but we did 4 versus 4. And it was a very interesting experience. I haven't played a team game like this before where everybody on the team has a very different role, and you're going head to head with another team that has a very similar role. I think Space Cadets Dice Duel is one of the other games that does this, but I haven't played that game either. It was an interesting experience because the game, it's kind of like this event game that you sit down and do. People were circled around the table watching us, and they seemed like they were enjoying the experience too. The game comes with these 2 giant screens that divide the table between you and the other team. So you kind of feel like you are at, your team is lined up in a row, and you're opposite someone on the other team, usually your counterpart on the other team. And the screen provides this sense of privacy for your team, which is necessary for the game, but also intimacy for the entire table as a whole, because you can hear the other team, and it's important that you can actually hear the other team. So I really like that component. But I wanted to talk about my favorite game mechanism, obviously, and that is, it's going to be related to the role that I played, which is the radio operator in the game. The radio operator is in charge of listening to the other team's captain as that captain gives orders to his team. It's like I'm tapped into his radio feed and I'm getting a little bit of information here and there. And that information is cardinal directions. So when the captain tells his team move east, so he's directing a submarine, he's telling them, okay, move east, then I note what that is, and I'll explain what that notation means in a minute. But basically that's the main instruction that the captain is giving his team. He's looking at a diagram of a bunch of islands, and he is using a dry erase marker to move around those islands in the cardinal directions, in the hopes of avoiding our submarine, my team's submarine, but also eventually sinking our submarine. My job is that I have the same map in front of me, and I have a plastic overlay on top of it that can move around, which is brilliant. I'll show you why in a second. And on that plastic overlay, I am listening to that captain and tracing the steps of his boat with 2 key things. One, I don't know where he starts. He could start anywhere on the map, but I have no idea. So as I'm tracing, I'm eventually going to run into islands because it's almost impossible to pick the correct starting space based on what the other captain said. And so when you run into an island, and this is the second thing, and the brilliance of the overlay, you just move the overlay around and find where it matches up with the map, or one of the ways that it matches up. You don't really know at that point. And I absolutely love this. It was really, really brilliant. Because when I sat down at the table, I was like, why do I need this overlay? Why don't I just write on the map that shows the map? Because it was a dry erase friendly map. And as soon as I started playing, as soon as I ran into the first island, and I was like, nope, I did not choose the right starting place for that submarine, obviously. And I moved the plastic sheet over, and it's very satisfying to move that thing around because all of a sudden you're like, oh, wow, it's making sense now. I can see how they moved around this island, or how you think they moved around that island, and you start to find these paths of where they might have moved, and you can move that thing around constantly or slowly, a little at a time, until you eventually, hopefully, hone in on where that ship is. Because there's a lot of points where that ship could be. I think there must be hundreds on that sheet. There's just little dots on the sheet that you're trying to track down. But I love this. I guess this component and a mechanism that I'm loving here, that I'm listening to the other captain, and as they speak and give me more information, I am honing in on where they might be in a very organic way. Like, it feels very organic. I think it's possible that you could play a game where you really don't ever figure it out. You don't figure out where they are. But when they start attacking you, because they're trying to sink your submarine, then usually you get some information there about where they've been, and you can adjust that map again. Very, very clever mechanism. Like I said, I didn't play as the captain. I didn't play as the other two roles, so I don't really know. But after playing with that role, I would love to play it again and give it another try. I did very poorly at it, but I still had fun doing it. So I'm curious if you've played any of these team style games where you're going head to head with another team with very similar roles. What was your experience with them, and what was your favorite game mechanism in that style of game? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Especially, I'll come back to this and say it again. I love the idea that you have to listen to the other team. You're not just on your own team doing your own thing. You have to pay attention to what they're doing, which I think is really clever. I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Thanks.